Welcome to BatchTV. My name is Landry Morby, and my main goal for these videos is to provide you with tips and tricks you can easily apply to your own business and that will allow you to take your business to that next level. In today's video, I'll be going over everything you need to know about advanced configuration settings when creating a campaign in BatchDialer so you can be successful when dialing. Before we get started, just a quick disclaimer that there may be some information blurred out for privacy purposes, but you'll be able to see everything in your BatchDialer. Alright, so let's get into my BatchDialer account. So you can see I'm just in my dashboard right now where you can see some basic stats, and I'm going to go over to the campaigns. Everything about dialing really revolves around creating your campaign and how you're creating it. But if you haven't seen the other video within BatchTV on the basic setup, you're definitely going to want to watch that. Today we're just going to be focusing on the advanced configuration. There's a ton of information that I'm going to be sharing, so you'll want to make sure to set up all of the other things properly to make sure that you can get started with dialing the correct way. So I'll go over to create a new campaign over on the right, and I'm just going to select a few settings here just so that we can get to the advanced configuration. But once again, just to really reiterate the importance, you want to make sure you're setting this up properly and all the do's and don'ts. So we'll go down to select a couple agents and a phone number or two. Okay. And we're going to go down to advanced configuration. There's a lot of settings within advanced configuration that can mess with your connect rate if you're doing some of the not recommended settings within this section. So I'll kind of break them down and all of the, the whys and explanations behind each section. So with the call order, this is totally up to you. You can do adaptive. This is what I usually leave it on. With adaptive, this just goes through, let's say that you have 50 contacts to call and all of them had 3 phone numbers, for example. So it would go through the first phone number first, then it would go back up to the top and go through the second phone number, so on and so forth for any following. For highest score and lowest score leads first, there's a option within your settings where you can set rules on your leads within your account and put a score on them so that you can call them in a specific order if you're wanting to. So I'm just going to leave it on adaptive so that everything goes in just order from top to bottom. Now with call connect type, you'll see automatic and manual answer. We recommend doing automatic answer. The way this would work is, let's say that you're dialing and you have a wireless headset on and you walk away from your desk to get a drink of water. If somebody answers the phone while you're away from your desk and you have automatic answer set on your campaign, you'll just be able to start that conversation and start talking to them on your way back to your desk to start making notes on that call, whatever it is. Now with manual answer, which we do not recommend, is if you select this, you'll either have the ability to hear a beep or a ringing noise. And how this will work is as soon as somebody answers the call, and why we don't recommend doing this is because they may be sitting there saying hello over and over again, and you're not getting to actually answering that, and they end up hanging up the call at that point. So we recommend doing automatic so you can just jump into those conversations. Now with dialing behavior, this is super important. I know it's tempting to mess with this a lot as you're kind of going in there and getting used to how you want things set up, but I'll break this down exactly what all of these mean. Now, number one, with the simultaneous dials per agent, if you have the single line dialer, for example, you'll never be able to move this off of 1. You'll have to at least have the multi-line to be able to go up all the way to 10. You could if you wanted to. We recommend staying at 2 to 3. If you really think about calling 10 people at once, let's just imagine that 5 people answer at one time. And you're going to be talking to the very first person that answered, even if it's a millisecond apart, and you'll lose out on those 4 other phone calls. And one of those 4 people really could be interested in what you're offering. So just be thinking about it in that way. You will need more phone numbers, the more lines you go up as well, so that you're not getting spammed at that point either. You'll see a little warning pop up if you try to go over 3. So I'm just going to click this arrow and you'll see that populate here, letting you know that we do not recommend going over 3 lines. This is going to be perfect because if you have a 3-line styling and maybe 2 people answer, it's not going to be that bad if you lose out on 1 call compared to, 4 or 5 or more. So I'm just going to keep that on 3. Now, abandonment timeout, you're never going to want to move this lower than 30 seconds. It's just how long the dialer is going to wait on that call. It's basically giving it a chance for 30 seconds or whatever you set here before it abandons that call and moves on to the next. And then with max calls per day, most of the time you'll just be leaving this on 0. It just is giving you the ability to set a limit on how many calls you'd like to be connected to or how many calls you'd like your agents to be connected to. Most of the time you're wanting to connect with as many people as possible, so I'd recommend just leaving this on 0, not putting a limit on that. Now with max attempts per record, this is how many attempts you're going to be trying a specific phone number if they don't answer, for example. So if one phone number doesn't answer and I have this set at 3, it's going to wait my retry time. These go hand in hand until it tries that phone number again. So if I have it set as 3, it's going to try throughout that campaign every 3 hours until I connect with them a total of 3 times. So a couple tips with this. What I like to do is set this as 1 and not retry the phone number, or maybe set it as 2 and just, in a couple hours or whatever you set for your retry time, which I'll explain, you give them one other try to see if you can connect with them. But you don't also want to be bombarding people with calls. If you think about when you're getting a phone call from an unknown number, you're probably way less likely to answer that when they're calling you back to back and over again. So what you can actually do back on the campaigns page, let's say once again with 50 contacts, you get through all of them, just call them once. Now maybe the following day you go back, you recycle that campaign, and you can go through and just call the people that didn't answer. So I'm just going to leave this at 1, get through all of my contacts, and try them again on a different day or when I'm able to start that campaign or pick that up. And then with retry time, once again, goes hand in hand. If you did have this set as more than 1, then it would wait that amount of time, around 3 hours in this case, before it tried that phone number again. So it does give you a warning if you try to go under 3 hours. You can set this for days, whenever you want that to be put back in the call queue or the rotation of when you're calling that phone number. So just keep that in mind, and I'm going to leave that as 1 and just get through all of my contacts. Now with the lead sheet, there's a place within your settings that you can actually create a sheet for yourself or for your agents that could be something like if they connect with somebody, they're having a great call, and you want them to obtain or document specific criteria, maybe who they're speaking with on the phone, their exact name or their best email address if you need to send them some sort of document, or a sale by date, any kind of notes that you want them to document and easily fill out. You can set that up and have that available for yourself or for your agents. It's an awesome overlooked feature, something you definitely want to be able to set up so that you're not missing those vital pieces of information when you're on a really great call. Now down at the bottom, you'll see a few other options. First being call recording. We have this automatically checked off. So when this is checked, it's going to be automatically recording yours and your agent's phone calls. The reason this is great to have on is so that maybe you have other people that you're bringing on your team in the future and you want to download those and upload them somewhere for a training resource for how those calls should go. Maybe you use them for when a call doesn't go so good and you want to have that training moment to see how they can improve, or you want to listen back to see where you went wrong, or it went really great and you forgot to make a note of something super important that went over in that call. Great feature there, totally up to you if you want to have that. And then for answering machine detection, this is a really big one. So with the answering machine, we have this automatically checked off. So if you have this with a check mark on it, the system will filter out any answering machine, so you're only talking to real people. But if you think about it, when you get a phone call from an unfamiliar number and they leave you a voicemail, you're much more likely to call them back because you see it's either somebody calling you about your car's limited warranty, or somebody's actually reaching out to you that you didn't recognize their phone number, and you might be reaching out to them if you're actually interested in what they are offering or reaching out to you about. So there's a lot of tips that you can do. A voicemail drop. You can check out our other videos on tips and tricks and how to utilize some of the overlooked features that you might miss within BatchDialer as well. But I definitely recommend having this off so that you can leave those voicemails, make it simple so that you can just drop it and move on to the next contact. And then with the suppress federal do not call, completely up to you. I will say that that will cut a lot of your contacts out if you have this checked off or with the check mark in it. And then finally, with the suppressing the system do not contact, this is your system's DNC list essentially. So if you've been talking to people and they specifically said, don't call me again, take me off your list, you have had those conversations, you're probably not going to want to reach out to them again. So think about it in that way too. If you or your agents are making these calls, you probably won't want to be reaching out to people that specifically told you not to. So I'm going to keep that checked off. And then finally, with the calling hours, so time zone, this is the time zone that you're going to be calling into. So let's say I had a campaign going to contacts in Phoenix, Arizona. I would go to the time zone. I'd set that as Pacific time. And then I'd go to the calling hours for that time zone that I'm going to be contacting. So I could live all the way on the East Coast and calling over into Pacific time. I'm going to be wanting to have where I'm contacting. And then for calling hours, this is helpful for if you have a team or just yourself to remind yourself not to call too early or too late, depending on your time zone if it differs a lot. So let's say that I want to tell myself or my agents that I don't want to be allowing any calls to go out to these contacts before, let's say 9 a.m. And I also don't want them calling any later than 6 p.m. So it's basically going to disable them from starting to contact those or make those dials if they're not within these hours. So I'll just go ahead and press apply to all and click apply. And obviously at this point, you'll want to make sure that you've set up the basics of your campaign as well. You have the right amount of phone numbers and you've attached the right teammates to this campaign. But once you're done, you'll just press save. And then once that's finished, you'll be able to see that load up on your campaigns page, and you'll be able to just go up to your time card, switch to available, and choose that campaign that you just finished setting up. So here's my new campaign with the date, and confirm that and start dialing. So as you can see, there is a ton of information on the dialer, and we want to set you guys up for success to connect with as many people as possible. Also, be sure to watch our simple setup with the BatchDialer so you don't miss out on any other important information. Thank you so much again for joining us on BatchTV today. I hope this video was helpful. If you have any questions at all or just want to let us know what you'd like to see in future videos, leave us a comment below, and don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and turn those notifications on.